YouTube chair. Hey YouTube, it's your favorite mega church cult survivor, Leah Lauder, still standing, still surviving outside in these streets. Chair. I know that the title on YouTube is there any power in the name of Jesus, but I just don't think I can continue it because I'm a little bit triggered. So there's parts 1 to 2 on my YouTube. You can check it out. Don't forget to subscribe. Today we're going to move on to something else because it was just getting a bit much. Today I want to talk about how church cults engineer dependency, collapse, and the illusion of functioning. My name's Leah Lauder. I spent 18 years in a mega church cult, and this is some ideologies taken from my book that's coming out in March. Sorry guys, I'm drinking out of my child's bottle, so I'm trying to be classy today. All right. I've got to try and make it so TikTok can still see me. All right, so core truth. Cults do not teach you to function outside of the self-sealing environment. They don't teach you how to function. They teach you how to function inside them. And that's what it feels like, doesn't it? It feels like you're inside their skin. And so I think that that's very deep, what that said there. High control groups are not communities that happen to be harmful. They are closed systems engineered to centralize meaning, externalize identity, control behavior, and capture cognition. The externalized identity is really important because there's a certain kind of core look that these people, these types of believers have, especially the women, like it on TikTok. There's a particular aesthetic that they have, and it's what I call, like, it's quite Christian performative. Hey Spice, like when you look at the Breenie Lees and stuff, do you know what I mean? It just makes you want to, do you know, because it's so fake. It's like, girl, like what was it? We might have been born, but it wasn't yesterday. That's what they say in my culture. We might have been born, but it wasn't yesterday. Do you know what I mean? Like, are you all right? This is why survivors often say, I could only function in there. Hey, that's not coincidence. That's design. I could only function in there. So it's not, in a way, they are setting you up to fail because there is no life outside of the group. You can't survive outside of the group. And that's why when people feel like I've done some lives on why does it feel like my life has been ruined since I left the cult, because it's like you're in this high control group and then you leave and then you're like, you feel like you've just collapsed, but it's not that. It's like it's your neuro system. It's got to learn to survive outside of a high control environment. Guys, please like the live, because if you're not liking it, I'm gonna have to go, guys. Yeah, it's so important that we like the live. Do you know what? I'm going to have to take off the lid. I know that's ghetto, but like... Yeah, I can't do it. All right. So this is why survivors often say, I could only function in there. And when I left, it was like, yeah, that's what they do. That's the feeling I had, like, yeah, that's what they do. They only want you to survive in the self-sealing system, because it's like, we made you, we poured into you, we fed you with the sincere milk of the word. You know what I mean? We cleaned you up. We poured all of this into you, like you belong to us. Like you owe us. Like, don't ever think all of them lifts, all them things that they do for you, the advice, don't ever think that it's free. It's not free. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Like, they're going to throw it back in your face like an abusive ex. Do you know what I mean? The moment you don't give them something that they like, or the moment that you're not doing what they want you to do. Margaret Singer, cult expert, described them as systems of coordinated influence designed to produce dependency and obedience. Hey, Christ First. Hey, Ange. So they're designed to produce dependence and obedience, the self-sealing system. This is exactly what Lifton called ideological totalism, a system where every human need is met internally and external reality is framed as dangerous, inferior, or corrupt. So that's why, you know, we bring in the us versus them. You know, everything's EVIR apart from the cult. You know, it's just ridiculous. It's like primary school thinking, very black and white. You know, a self-sealing system has three properties, and all have three properties as follows. All are all. I'm so tired, guys. All answers exist inside the group. All problems are reframed spiritually, so that's why there's a lot of spiritual bypassing. All suffering is moralized. All success is credited to obedience. All failure is blamed on the individual. That's why when you come out, you got to get rid of like self-limiting beliefs. And look, you need to be kind to yourself and love yourself, because you've had however many years you were in there getting beaten down and broken down by the cult. Okay. So you've got to see it as, even when you make like a silly mistake or a decision that you're not proud of or whatever, you got to change the way that you see that, like a glass half full and empty. Like, okay, this happened, but what lessons can you learn from it? There's a situation I'm not proud of, but I learned so much from that relationship. Do you know what I mean about men, male psychology, you know, how to be the goddess I am. You get it, guys? And all suffering is moralized, all success is credited to obedience, and again, all failure is blamed on the individual. So it's a you problem. It's never a they problem. It's never a us problem. It's always a you problem. This creates a closed feedback loop. If it works, the system is true and effective. If it hurts, you're the problem. You don't pray enough. You're devil. You're this. You're that. You see? There is no exit where you remain intact. Why they fill you with so-called knowledge and why it's not empowerment. Cults often overload members with scriptures, teachings, language, doctrines, and revelation. This is not education, it's cognitive saturation. So a major red flag for me, and when alarm bells come ringing, is when it's very heavy loaded, scripture heavy based. So like an example I'm going to use for this is Caris and First Love. You know, they can quote you, you know, like a whole chapter, not verses, you know what I mean? And they pride on being scholars of the word. So being able to quote things exactly because it's cognitive saturation. So cult expert Stephen Hassan calls the information control one of the four pillars of the BITE model. That's behaviour, information, thought, and emotion. So the goal is not that you know more. The goal is that you can't think outside of the frame. So it's not that you know more, it's that you can't think outside of the frame. So everything will be really structured and like organized. So in my cult, we had must know scriptures. The information is very controlled. It's very much within the confines of the systems and structures of the cult. Yeah. So once you take them outside of that frame, they can't think for themselves. And if you follow my main page, there's a video that's gone really viral on me being videoed because a guy from Caris tried to outreach me. Oh yeah, Spat Nation is a big cult. And I flipped it on him and I was like, I didn't know at the time, now I've got the words for it, but I was challenging that cognitive saturation. Like, what do you do? What hobbies do you do? What this, that, not the scriptures. And he didn't know what to do. And also I was purposefully taking him to scriptures that I know weren't within the confines of the information control of Caris. And he was just a fish out of water and he couldn't swim. I saw that video. He's so indoctrinated. Thank you, Ines. I mean, it doesn't get more indoctrinated than that. Do you remember when he said, a sinner born again? It's that bit. I'm just like, ooh. I remember watching the recording back when he was like, I'm a sinner. No, I'm born again. I was just like, oh my God. Like, you could just see the psychosis. And the thing is, there's like a mass psychosis. And then what's happening with the wider society is that there's like a mass hysteria. OMG, like we've been lied to for thousands of years and everybody's MAD. And this, you know, people are praying to a man in the sky and believing in invisible blessings. And it's crazy, man. So what this does is it creates thought terminating cliches, or automatic spiritual interpretation, and reflexive self-blame. And that reflexive self-blame is immediate, instant, automatic. Like you've been programmed to always blame self because they're criminals, and they don't have the ability to like take accountability to this, that, and the third. So it's always reflexive self-blame. And guys, really try to like, I'm not saying, because I know for some people writing it down is a bit feels culty, yeah, but even if it's like buzzwords like reflexive self-blame, so like when those thoughts, those self-limiting, demeaning, condemnation type of thoughts come in, you can say, do you know what, this is a reflexive self-blame thought. Because actually having a word for it, because there is truth in the things they say, because it's psychology, it's just used for their manipulation, power, and control. Because that whole ideology of saying the same thing over and over again and believing in it, that's just psychology. Do you know what I mean? So it is effective and it does work. Like, when they say like call out the devil and shame him, like call out the things that he's doing. I will not be taken and consumed by alcohol. I will not be, like, I was watching this woman, I can't remember what, she's one of these mega church wacky backy gal, I think the woman's name's Kim or something, but she's a big mega church. Whilst I'm just looking at this woman, I'm like, this woman is dealing in magic. I could see it all over her. She's dealing in divination, manifestation. I could see it. This is why they HATE to see me come in. Do you know what I mean? Because I've had to go into a lot of different things to really like, so that I didn't unalive. But I could see it all over her. She's not operating in the Holy Spirit. She's not operating, because you can tell when someone's operating from that Christ consciousness. It was more like a mixture of like motivational speaking, life coach, and a lot of these women have a seductive spirit. Seduction is not the way the world has sold it to us. Okay. Religious harlots, yeah. So when you leave, your brain is full but not free. So remember, I say like the first step is leaving the place physically, psychologically. What you'll be doing for a long amount of time is, freeing yourself psychologically, mentally. The battle is in the mind, and the freedom comes through the mind, but that comes through knowledge, because for lack of knowledge our people perish. So if we were to flip that, the antithesis of that would be, for widespread knowledge our people flourish. Yeah. So when you don't have that, what you get is slavery, what you get is control, what you get is totalistic, self-sealing systems, transcendental belief systems, crooks and fraudsters doing anything to get a buck. Yeah. So it just really isn't about Christ currently. And guys, they're very manipulative. I've seen some of them trying to flip it and be like, we need to take accountability. If we don't say that we're going to take account, because they're sly. You see these people, it comes from a really rotten seed of a lot of EVIL, because they're just sellouts. That's all. So like religious harlots, they'll do anything to stay relevant, to keep the money, to keep the mega church wheel churning. Like, guys, I don't trust none of it, honestly. Like, I think you're better off at home lighting some candles. Your house shall be a house of prayer. Do you know what I mean? Like, your house can be a house of prayer, Charlie. And it doesn't even need to be like prayer, because remember, you've got to also kind of redefine what you see as prayer, because prayer could be, like I look out my window a lot and just meditate on the goodness of God. It's not shabaya, you know what I mean? So let's look at the neuroscience a little. Why you functioned only inside and collapsed outside. This is deep. Inside the cult, your nervous system is held in chronic sympathetic activation. So that's fight or flight mode. And when you're in fight or flight mode constantly, like we're just not designed to be in fight or flight mode. Do you know what I mean? And that's why it's not good to be with a brokey and a dusty, because they are fighting for their lives, chair. And it's not like, you see these women that you see like Shira Seveners, don't ever get it twisted. These women are highly intelligent. So you might see them busting jokes and whatever, but there's a message behind the jokes, because she knows about neuroscience and how it all works and how you will suffer. Miss Rose, oh my God, I'm so glad to see you, because I came back on for you, you know, on YouTube. I was thinking, oh my God, I haven't seen Miss Rose. Welcome. And do you see that all this research is coming out, like how man makes women's head go MAD, all of this, all of that. When you look at the women, like look at Maya. You not know Maya. It's after midnight and no, she's on your phone saying come over 'cause she's all alone. I could tell it was her ex by your tone. Why is she calling now after so long? Now what is it that she wants? What is it that she needs? Is she said about you? That he just fought for me. And y'all didn't have no kisses, didn't have no regular, and you got down and me broke up when you got down in 96. What you gonna do when you are you alright? Gonna act. How you gonna act? How you gonna handle that? What you gonna do when you want to act? What you gonna do? Oh my God, Maya, you know what, yeah? What everybody needs to understand is Maya has been that girl since 1992/4. And she just made the decision to be celibate and just leave the toxic industry. And has anyone seen Maya outside? Yeah. I think me saying I'm going to be celibate for the rest of my life was the best decision I ever made. It was the best thing I ever done. Deciding to be celibate. Deciding to be celibate. Oh, deciding to be celibate. It was the best thing I ever done. That's all they do in their chair. Anyone can do it, babe. It's all smoke, lights, and it's all camera action, mirrors. It's all lies. Everything's lies. Yeah, we see Maya. Oh God, Maya looks great, and that's what I want to be, Miss Rose. So this in particular, this fight or flight thing, this when your nervous system is held in chronic sympathetic activation, this is driven by surveillance, God leaders, peers. You know, the monitoring is so strict. It's like you can't breathe. In these church cults, it's like Big Brother. So it'd be very gossipy. Everybody knows everybody's business, is chatting everyone. Performance pressure and performance based. When you see that, you know, performative Christianity, when you see Breenie Lee's run a blood clot. Do you know what? I don't know who that girl's marrying, but remember, mark my words. Remember, I've been saying it. That marriage is going to teach her, because that girl, whoever's taken that girl, he must be. He's not going to be okay. Off topic. This other YouTuber said celibacy is self-punishment because Schmegs is about enjoying yourself. Oh, she's just a 304 girl. She's just a washed up 304. That's all she is. It's not about punishment. Do you know what I'm saying? How could it be about punishment? Are you all right? It's not about punishment. It's celibacy. Celibacy is the highest form of spiritual protection you could ever have in your life. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, because we're made up differently to men. So when they decide that there's a nicer young thing and they've had enough of us and they want to move on to that, they've had you since 21 and that they've been rinsing that said 304 out that you're talking about on the YouTube, Miss Rose. Then when he discards her at 32 saying that it's not you, it's me, baby. And then he gets married 6 months later and has a baby and she's on TikTok crying, wanting us to come and support her on the community page. She needs to go and gwe. What the hell is she talking about? Let's put the women that have been married or the women that are still engaging in intercourse with these men And let's put Maya next to them. Does she look like Maya? Does she look like Maya? Because if she doesn't look like Maya at 48 years old, I don't want to hear what she's got to say. You know them ones. Because I go with facts. And when I look at Miss Maya, 47, 48 years old, she's looking like she's in her 30s or 20s, yeah? Does that woman look like she's in her 20s, or does she look like the washed up HAG she is from being a pick-me? Because that's a pick-me. Oh, baby, because you can't keep your legs closed, don't come projecting on other girls them that have decided that they want the highest form of spiritual protection. Girl, I was thinking the same. She also brought up Sacred Hall to back up her word. Oh my God, no. No, girl, that's mental illness. That's not a podcaster. She's not well. Do you know what I'm saying? She's not well, oh. She's not well, oh. I don't know what is she talking about today. She's just talking. She's just talking with her mouth. There's no words coming out. She's just talking. I can't hear what she's saying. I don't hear well. She's just talking. Don't turn me into the ignorant auntie, because that's what I'll do up. Do you know what I mean? You know, what you doing up? So when you get all of this performance pressure, the surveillance, the conditional belonging, the fear of punishment or XR, this produces high cortisol, high adrenaline and dopamine spikes linked to approval. This is why I've got Addison's and adrenalism. The organ that helps you produce cortisol to fight with stress. Mine was just producing too much. So it was going like that. And my organ just failed me, unalived. They worked me like a DOG. They worked me so hard for 18 years that my adrenal gland unalived. And I had to have surgery to get it removed. And I had a benign non-cancerous tumor on said adrenal gland. They finished me. If I had stayed in there, I probably would have got cancer. And a lot of the pastors have. That's the main thing that they get in there, the pastors. That's the main disease they get in there, because it's just things just go unchecked, and it just metamorphosizes. Because, you know, stress, it turns into diseases, inflammation. That's what Dag should have been talking about on his flow prep. If you talk about inflammation, the obvious connection is the trauma, the stress that leads to inflammation. But he can't talk about that because he's rinsing them out in there. Do you understand? So neuroscientifically, this can temporarily enhance focus, energy, productivity, and endurance. So temporarily. So that's why it feels like they can do the impossible. And you've got to remember, they give them like my pastor will come and say to me, Leah, we need to move building. You've got a week. I need you to find me a venue. We're currently homeless. And if you don't find me a venue by Sunday, we're going to be on the streets doing church. I know you can do it. And you know, this was in the top 2000s. It wasn't like how the internet is now. So your girl was driving up and down the streets of London in a manic state, trying to find a hall that could accommodate us. And what you'll notice with these church cults, that the pastors are just absolutely cantankerous, repulsive. You cannot speak to them. You can't work with them. They have the pseudo personalities of the main cult leader. So they're very tyrannical. So you can't, there's no speaking, there's no reasoning with them. Yeah. So they find it hard to keep like the buildings that they're in, because they think they own the dominion of the universe and beyond. They believe that their leader is, you know, this big time prophet. That's, you know, so there's a lot of, they don't know how to relate to people well because of that elitism culture and stuff. Yeah. So they move around a lot. But I'm there breaking my back, unaliving myself to find this hall, yeah? And it's all because the pastor is just rude. And the people are just like villagers. They don't look after the property. They're making noise on a residential street, parking in residence parking, doing whatever the hell they want. Don't you think people in the area are going to get pissed off and start reporting you? But you're here doing up church every Sunday, but you don't even have compassion and, you know, like, common courtesy for neighbors that want to have their parking spaces. And do you know people have unalived over parking spaces? People have thrown hands. That gets really serious. So a lot of the time when they move, it's because of the neighbors like getting together and saying like, we don't want you here, especially if they don't own the building. If they own the building, like my cult, it's a lot harder to get them out. And back in the day in my cult, they used to have a lot of people working in different sectors in the local government. So they used to like throw, you know, like delete the complaints like not let them have the inspections from the 90s. Oh, Leah, it's a miracle that you survived. I always wondered why would pastors and pastors' wives unalive young in my cult. Now I understand. Thank you, Miss L. Rose, for sharing that and feeling like it's a safe space to do so. The thing is, when you're in there, babe, you're just disassociated. Do you know what I mean? People are that have been there for 10 years leave and you don't even notice. It's like time stops. It's a mad environment. People unalive, and you're not seeing it as it's the cult, because they make everything about you. It's a you problem, you know, it's a them problem. And we don't really realize it, you know, but a lot of people unalive young, a lot. And another one that I've seen as well is a lot of the women, the lady pastors, can't have kids. A lot of them have problems conceiving. A lot of them lose when they are as well. I see that a lot. So you can see the visible vulnerabilities on the people in there, because they're supposed to be so blessed and they're supposed to be so this and they're supposed to be so that. Like Ben's wife Maureen recently lost her baby. Yeah. And what I'm saying is that, you know, Maureen's been in the church cult since she was like 14, 15. The youth church, been faithful, served. Her husband's cheated on her allegedly. She's still served faithfully. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's been through all of this stuff. So my point is, someone like that who's been serving in the Lord forever, she loses her baby, and we know that according to the Bible, a child is a blessing from the Lord, isn't it? Okay, so let's compare her to a 16-year-old that doesn't want the youth, has gone and got rid. Yeah, that's 15. So do you see where the cognitive dissonance comes in? When you start to take them into this terrain, they don't know what to say. They don't know what to say. Because if we go by your perfect false health, wealth, and prosperity doctrine, why are you not all suffering in there? Why are you all still in your council flats? Why are you all begging for change? Why can't you afford to put a decent coat on your child? Why can't you give your child a good some good shoes? Why is your child not in private school? Why is everything you own HP'd? Hire purchase, baby. Paying off monthly. Why is everything you own like that? And you want to tell me that you're blessed? And you want to tell me that you're free? What savings do you have? What have you managed to save whilst you're in there? Come on, man. Wake up and smell the black coffee. And you know, this commitment, this like how you're in there and they want you to be like giving your blood, sweat and tears, breaking your back for them. It all comes at a cost. Nothing is free. And no one's that nice off the bat, you know, the first time. And it's like gone. It's like a horror film. They all smile, but behind their EVIR. No one is that nice, guys. That type of environment does not exist. Facts on facts, Queen. It doesn't exist. It's fake. How can you all be like this when the world's falling apart? We've got all of this chaos and it's not real. It's not real. It's fake in there. They're all fake. That's why the men are all cheating, because the wives, everything, the wives give one perception. And then when they get married and they get the ring and they get that baby, they just turn into a monster. They let themselves go. They're not the woman that the guy married. So fellas, you know, I'm not one of these idiots outside in these streets. I don't say, oh yeah, cheating's right, but I'm not like hair on the girl side. Because if you married a girl who sold you a dream and acted like she was going to cook for you, was going to give you the best schmegs of your life, was going to be obedient, was going to do this, was going to do that, was going to stay, you know, she was slim, curvy, that you chose her for all of those reasons, no? That's why she picked me. And that's why I say them type of gal, them are dangerous. The pick-me's. Pick me, pick me, pick me. Look, I can cook. Look, I'm just like your mother. Look, I'm obedient. Yes, pastor. Look, they're the worst. They're the worst. They're what I call log back gal them. They'll be on their back like a log for the rest of your life, chair. You'll be a man who'll come in there, you'll have your issues, but a woman like that will turn you into an adulterer. A woman like that will have you chasing young gal. A woman like that will have you fornicating with a married woman as a married man. It will put a woman like that, those kind of cantankerous women, they'll push you to a place that you never knew existed. You won't even recognize yourself. And then that cycle will just continue with your children and your children's children, yeah? So when you leave, the threat drops and the body crashes into parasympathetic shutdown. This looks like chronic illnesses surfacing, fatigue, pain, disassociation, and loss of executive function. You didn't become weaker. Your body stopped being whipped. Sometimes the lesson is that when they manipulate the odds against you and you get rejected or betrayed or deprived, you still keep faith. Ooh. And Marve, do you know what? That's a good definition of resilience as well, if I might add. Why life outside looks like failure. Cults deliberately collapse external competence. They discourage autonomous career development, undermine secular confidence, replace real-world skills with internal status. So what happens is you seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things shall be added onto you. So it's like, forget the world. They focus and pour everything in the cult. So now when you have to come to the actualization and the realization that this has been a fraud, they can't. They can't bear the fact that they've married this guy who's cheated on them their whole life since they've got married. They're in this cult, all their whole family, they've recruited their whole family in it. Someone like that would go MAD. They can't handle the truth. So a lot of them are just in there. They're not well, guys. They'd rather be in that plastic fake world than be in reality. So they replace real world skills, again, real world skills with internal status. So this is why they can be packing boxes in the night. But when they're in the church cult, they're pastor, reverend, bishop. But they're just packing boxes in the night. Hey, Kayla. So they get that validation and that status quo from the cult. That's why they're in there. It's not because they love Jesus. Where else are they going to get that respect and that validation from? Nowhere. Because when we see you down the street, ain't no gal in her right mind stopping to look your way. So you have to be, that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of these mandem, have you seen the caliber of mandem in these spaces? Have you seen what they look like? It's just the bottom of the barrel. Hi, Sam. Yeah. And that's why they're in there like schmegs addicts and, you know, taking all the gal and all that. Do you know what I mean? Because they've never had that. So when they come in these spaces and they start to see all of the perks that come with it, they just get led by ego, like because they're men. And that's not the way that it was designed and supposed to be. So they frame external success as spiritually dangerous, or like, you know, you've got to use your youth. You've got to use this time to work for God. So a lot of people have regrets on, you know, coming out broke, having to start life over and feeling the pressure. Especially, could you imagine being a guy, being in there for like 20 years or 10 years and then you come out? Who's this? No, I'm going to let this ring out, guys. Wait, hold on. Let me just see who it is. Hello? Hi, from where? Okay. Yes. Just calm. I'm bedridden. Just calm. I don't go out, mate. Yeah, I don't go out, mate. So just, can you call me when you're outside and I'll give you the code for the safe key? All right, love. Oh, don't worry. Anytime's fine. Don't rush. I'm just in there. So when you're done seeing whoever, just pass by. All right. All right. Thanks, love. Bye. Oh my God, you lot, if I didn't answer that phone call, I would have been screwed. Woo! Guys, I'm going to turn on the light 1 second because that was really good news. Oh, guys, honestly, I can barely get out of my bed. Where's the thing? Have I spilled the water everywhere? Oh, it's here. Oh my God, am I exposing myself? Oh my God, guys, that is such good news. All right. I can't say what it is. It's personal, but trust me, things are looking up. All right, guys, what was I getting into? A lot of times they have stories to passively, aggressively demonize targets. Yeah, they do. And do you know what, Marve? Everything in there is target driven and target heavy. So everything's about targets and hey CB, oh no, I thought that was CB. But the reason why it's about targets and whatever is because it's all about money. Their businesses in there, and that's what I clocked in the pandemic. When because guys, I don't think you understand. I sacrificed so much. So when I realized it was a business, I was like, I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. And that's why, yeah, have you noticed it's like very secretive? The higher up you go, you'll see like there's only certain people that get to be around the pastors, only certain people that get to be in the inner chambers. They sell it to you like, oh, you know, you have to be it's not everyone that can handle being close to the man of God. It's not that, it's just because they're corrupt. They don't want you to really see what goes on behind the scenes. And those people that they elevate and they get up to the top, they're EVIL to an extent as well. They have that in them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because to get to that level in these types of wicked organizations, you had to have been really EVIL. And that's just facts. Like there's a girl that doesn't speak out. And at first I was really disappointed and I was hurt for a while that she wasn't like joining me and speaking out. But then as I just went back, she was EVIL. And that's why she's church cult and stayed in religion. Like the most EVIL women will stay in there because they can be safe. They're safe there. They can hide really well and camouflage in religious spaces. So when you leave a church cult, your skills don't translate cleanly, because what are you going to say? Oh yeah, I was an administrator for 20 years, but I was a bishop in candlelightministryinternational.com, and I did this for Bishop, a powerful, mighty man of God. That they like professionals don't want to hear that, babe. That's not the real world. That's human fecal matter. They're going to be looking at you like you lost the plot. So your identity dissolves, okay? Your confidence. Because your confidence, you know, when they would say things like, my boldness is in the Lord, and, you know, like a lot of people, they wouldn't really be like talkative or this or that. But when they come into these church cult environments, it's like, you know, being born again and the word, it gives them the boldness. It's all human fecal matter, man. So do you see that when you leave, there's that collapse? There's that collapse of, you know, identity, of that confidence, you know, who you were in Christ, and that's why people don't want to let it go, because it's like it beckoneth the question, who am I then? Who are you? That's what you need to find out, because Christ doesn't know who Jesus is. Yeshua doesn't know who the hell Jesus Christ is. He would like to know, you know, them ones. And let's just all agree that when Yah are calling on the name of Jesus, it's not Yeshua. It's not the man that walked the earth, that apparently unalive for your sins and whatever. Jesus is a completely different individual created by Romans. All right. It's a Roman deity God. All right, my loves. So this creates the illusion I was somebody in there, I'm nothing out there. That's identity foreclosure. When identity is prematurely fixed by an authority preventing exploration. Let's look at the Sunday best phenomenon. Do y'all want to look at the Sunday best phenomenon? Who wants it? Who wants it? Who wants a bit of this phenomenon? Trauma dressed as holiness. What we're noticing, the suits, the polished performance, is textbook impression management. Cults prioritize image over integrity, optics over truth. So that's how things look. Performance over repair. This creates what trauma researchers call collective disassociation. Pain is not processed. Abuse is reframed. Emotions are spiritualized. Reality is denied. The community looks successful, but because failure is not allowed to be visible. Guys, everybody has a bit of failure in life. Everybody goes through hard times. Everybody goes through good and bad. Unless you're an alien, a magical alien from another planet that's not human. So, you know, like SPAC and that, it's just, you're just liars and the truth ain't in you, babe. Nothing's that perfect and polished in life. And the reason why these kind of cults are getting exposed is because this is the age of Aquarius. It's ruled by authenticity, the advancement of information and technology. So what you're noticing is like these social media creators and stuff, nobody wants to watch them like the washed up greenies. Like, so she does shocking things. That's the only reason she gets any attention, because it's like bureaucratic, is shocking. She knows she's going to get a reaction from the EVIL Christians, and there's a big support fan base there, and then she's going to get the rage from the women. So she knows what she's doing, but a woman like that will reap what she sows, because that man that she's married to, I guarantee you, mark my words, that man's going to teach her. She's going to learn through that marriage chair. Remember I told you we're going to see Breenie sitting on a podcast one day. and people won't be feeling sorry for her. They will not. So this is why survivors often feel insane. They see the cracks, but the stage set stays intact. Why leaving feels like total collapse and why that's predictable. So when you leave now, you lose identity, structure, meaning, regulation, language, and worth cues. Yeah, she's gonna learn. She's gonna learn when the husband is sleeping with all the women that are not modest, because she's already out of shape as it is. So it's not gonna take long once she has the baby. She's, you can, guys, you can always tell when a man is sucking and draining the woman of her life source and energy. She will look like Breenie. They don't look like how they were. They change. They start to look very auntie-ish, like very, because the man, like it's not an equal exchange of energy. So you start to see the stress wearing on the woman. And then in the beginning, the woman tries to fight for the relationship. She usually notices this quite soon after the baby's born, because before the baby's born, it's a fantasy. That's why most people break up. The men cheat, whatever, because that's when the reality sets in. Oh my God, it's not just you two free traveling the world. Now you've got a baby to provide for. Oh, I knew I was going to spill this. Now you've got a baby. Oh, did I expose myself, Miss Elrose? Now you've got a baby. Oh no, you lot, give me a second, because I've spilled this all over my bed. You've got a baby to provide for. You lot know babies are expensive. It's not just like a little small town thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got the nappies, you've got this, you've got that. And so what you start to realize is that you need more money. You need more money, especially when you get married young. What is a guy at 30 going to be able to do? 29 in the real world. Not these guys that we see, these tech guys, and like in a real world, in a 9-to-5 real world, like how much is a 30-year-old really going to be on? Yeah. So then all of these things start to set in, and then the woman just starts to there's just this identity collapse, because now she's clocked. She's got to do more for her and the child, and now this man child that she's taken on, mad. And that's when we start to see the collapse. So you'll notice the decline of the woman, especially influencers. You notice it with influencers. And then when they divorce, they just go MAD. Like, Patricia Bright, like, because it's just like, girl, that I don't even know Patricia Bright, because remember, I was in the cult, when she busted YouTube and things like that. But my sister caught me up on a little bit of things, and she's just had a whole psychological, she's having a breakdown. That's what we're seeing, because it doesn't fit her aesthetic. Like, who she's trying to be, that's not her. So there's like a disconnect with the audience, and it's just giving weird. That's true, Leah. They make it seem like problems are an attack from Satan, but an actual fact is that so long as you're alive, problems are guaranteed. Oh my God. As long as we live on this earth, we're going to have problems. And do you know what I mean? There's going to be problems. You're absolutely right. And that's why, babe, if you notice in the beginning, it was more about grounding and logic, because I know my health issues and I know what I see on the paper. I know the appointments I go to. I know how I've neglected myself. I know there's been a lot of toxic habits and things that I've done that would be self-HARM on me. And especially when I first left the cult and I was, out in these streets and the clubs, and I completely just neglected my health. All of these things have played into it. And I don't live the most healthiest lifestyle for my health condition as well. So that's why I had to tell you lot from the jump, if something happens to me, it's not curses or whatever. It is just the natural progression of where my life is going because of everything I've been through and everything I do. That's standard. But they ain't got no common sense in there. Everything's spiritual gaslighting and spiritual bypassing and manipulation. And so nothing's ever straightforward, babe. It can't be, because they've got to keep them in that cloud 9. Often when targeted, the insults flow in privacy and they get denied in public. Yeah. That's why they're getting people to leave their phone, put their phone in a clear box. They can't have no smart watches in meetings now in my cult. Yeah. Because guys, We're seeing what guans and what happens with the lights on and the cameras on when people are recording. Can you imagine what's going on in these spaces and places behind the scenes? And that's all I'm going to say about that, chair. That's all I'm going to say about that. Because at the end of the day, that's just common sense. Oh, I'm just spilling this everywhere. That's just common sense. You're absolutely right. We're treated like a piece of meat in there. For them to just ABUSE, just use as a punching bag, like they treat you with absolutely no respect. It's dehumanization in there. It's dehumanization, and people don't realize how badly we've been treated in these spaces. And that's why I'm highlighting the connect between like the trauma where we came from and how we landed there. Because what I've noticed is the more trauma, the more like BS, the more human fecal matter that someone's been through, the more like worse the church cult is. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why RPF, chair. If you're in RPF, there's some real issues if you're doing an RPF. Like, because I'm not gonna lie, out of all of the church cults, I think I feel like when you enter RPF, you've lost it completely. Yeah. Because I see it as it's like it just gives MAD house. That's all it gives. That's all it's given. And guys, aren't you seeing as the time is going on and like the more people are like deconstructing and the nature of content is changing and like people are speaking out more, can you see like just how like crazy it actually is? All right. So when you leave, essentially what happens is you lose meaning, structure, identity, community, regulation, language, worth cues. Your nervous system experiences this as social unalivement, existential threat. So you're having that social unalivement because that part of you is unalived. You're never going to go back there. You're never going to be able to do the things that you did there and operate in the same way you did. That's why people feel that they're going MAD, because it was like 2 months ago, they were standing on the stage praising the Lord. Now you're on a schmeg site looking for your next hit. Do you see how going from those two extremes just mad up someone's head? This is why ex-members show PTSD level symptoms. The systems didn't just control you. It replaced your regulatory infrastructure. So now the way your neurosystem regulates it's been wired to worship this man. And now you've just left it cold turkey. You've been excommunicated. You don't have the DRUG that to plug into the source, because you weren't plugging into the source, that the creator of the whole universe. You were plugging into Dag Heward-Mills or David Antry. So now you're separated from that person that was like a source of a DRUG to you. You're withdrawing. That's why women go back to like abusive partners as well, because they become like a DRUG and they become addicted. All right. So leaving removes the scaffolding, not because you were incapable, but because it was never yours to begin with. Sometimes human traffic lights, self-abandonment. Yeah. You're absolutely right. And, with this, it's so hard to like prove stuff. But with the missionaries and the migrations and the ritualistic events that they put overseas, and then they arrange the marriages, they've just been PIMPing out the gal them. That's all. Most of those big like ministries, like the Zimbabwean ones, the Nigerian ones, the Ghanaian ones, they've just had a whole business out of like selling women off to the highest bidder, or like an arrangement that's going to benefit the church cult. So they do it in that. And this again, the self-abandonment, what I'm going to say with that, Marve, I think, is that it's about learning to trust again. Would you agree? Learning to trust self? Because we did abandon ourselves, didn't we? Our own minds, our own intellect, our own, the ability, our intuition, the ability to trust our gut, to trust, what I mean? So, and again, that's going to take time. But I would say, guys, to just be kind to self. Don't forgive them. We don't care about them. Forgive yourself. Like a survivor that got raped was telling me about, she forgives them and I have to forgive. I said, F that, I'm not forgiving no one, babes. I'm not forgiving no one. That's a whitey man thing. Do you know what I mean? That controlled my ancestors. I'm not forgiving nothing, babes. Do Do you know what I'm saying? I'm focusing on regulating my blood clot neurosystem. Forget that. I can sort that out later. I'm not doing no forgiveness. I don't have no HAT in my heart for them. And that's all. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm focusing on myself. I'm not, because forgiveness takes energy. I'm not, they're not getting none of my energy. Don't you understand? The only energy I've only got enough energy. I've barely got enough energy to get out of my blood clot bed. Do you think I've got energy to be doing up forgiveness? No, baby, I haven't. I ain't got it. They don't allow you to marry who you like. They control who you have to marry. Do you know how many gal them had to marry a man whose breath stinks? Listen, yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. You lot know I don't F with my ex-husband. You know I don't with him like that. You know I don't. But one thing I can say about that man, one thing, and it even was a bit too much to the point where I'd be like, you know, them lighty Niger men. Oh God. Ladies, this is a bit of a word of advice for you. If you're going to go with a Nige man, don't get one that's good looking and don't get one that's a lighty. All right? That's a bit of advice, but, you know, do what you want. Ciao! I don't even remember what I saw. Yeah. No, my ex-husband's breath didn't stink and he was very fresh. And I used to say it to him, like, because I've got to smell like a hound dog. So I can't have like the bad breath, the armpit, like stenches, and because I just won't be able to touch you. That's just my big up all the gal and big up all the wives in these church cult spaces, child, that are dealing with smelly bananas. Do you know what I mean? Like all the church gal them that have to be dealing with those odors, man. Because you lot aren't even thinking about these kind of things. You're just thinking, oh, they have to marry this brokey, this guy who's like psychologically ABUSE, but you're not thinking about the practical things. Like these man, them ain't bathing. They're not bathing. And they're coming into the fresh sheets, like, and it's just stank. Do you know what I mean? And then they're still wanting schmegs. And the girl can't say no, because then she's gonna look. Do you know what I mean? Guys, it's like the women are really suffering. The men are BROKE. They don't wash their batty crease. Do you know what I'm saying? A lot of them are on low money. And then you want to come and make me feel some type of way for divorcing my ex, being a divorcee. Oh baby, oh babe, come and bring your husband. Come and show us your man child. Come and show us your blown up, puffed up man child. Yeah, that you literally own his life. If he's not around you, he's gonna fall apart like jelly. And you want to come and tell me something about divorce? Look at you and look at me, baby girl. We can see your visible vulnerability. We can see that the marriage isn't working. It's all over you. You could take your little fun pictures on holiday with your kids and whatever, but you look at MESS and so does he. It's giving mother and son. It's not giving lovers and it's not giving husband and wife. It's giving mother and son, baby. And you want to come and sit here and tell me that you're better off in life. All right, babe. Whatever floats your boat. And that's what they want to do. They want to be fake. They want people to canoodle the human fecal matter, but we're not doing it up. It's 2026, baby. Thanks, Ruth. It's 2020. We're not doing that anymore. We're not lying to them. We're telling them the truth. Do you understand what I'm telling you guys? We're giving them a dose of their own medicine. And that's the truth. They need to hear it, man. You come and outreach to me. If you look a mess, if you look broke, if you look like you're wearing a suit but you're broke, if you're giving that type of aesthetic where it's given BROKE and you're outside on a Saturday, I'm gonna ask you why does your attire look like that? Do you think I'm gonna listen to you when you're presented that way? Straight. Tell them the truth. Stop being nice. Oh no. Just tell them, man. Eventually something will click. You know them ones. So the cruelty of design. Hair is the darkest part and the part survivors need to learn. Need named. Guys, I think I'm going to start finishing up after this. There's a few more extra points, yeah? Cults are built so that staying slowly destroys you. Leaving rapidly destabilizes you. Either way, the system appears right. This is called a double bind, and double binds break people. Oh my God. Guys, that's deep, isn't it? Self-abandonment is when you diminish yourself to please a gang of manipulators, forgetting to listen to your own body. Yeah, so it's in with that, isn't it? Like the forgiveness and learning to trust yourself again. Because part of that, Marve, is learning to trust the body, isn't it? And your decisions. Because you have to run to a pastor and get a every time you've got a choice to make, you have to go and get permission and advice from the pastor. So, but that's a really, really beautiful explanation. So thanks for sharing. So true. An ex-pastors once said that he regretted marrying the woman he was arranged with. He said that she is gross. Oh my gosh, I feel sorry for that wife. They're always humiliating their wives from the pulpit. That's why when that girl, you know, that girl whose husband said her breath stinks or whatever, I can't even remember what that girl was from, Backchat or whatever. Like in that world, it's all normalized because the men publicly humiliate the wives. They can say what they want. They're the heads. Do you know what I mean? So they're just all like pick-me's in there. So of course they love it. It takes, you know, a pick-me. It takes years. Sometimes it takes her 30 years. Sometimes it takes the man, you know, cheating on her and leaving her for a younger woman when she's in her 50s. Sometimes it takes that. Sometimes it takes that. But, you know, these women get their karma in the end. But it's just how long it takes. But they always get their karma. That's why I'm sitting here. I'm laughing. Guys, I'm telling you. Because I'm going to have the last laugh in the end. It's all at MESS. Another said that his wife was not his type. You should have seen how he treated his type in the cult. That's another thing as well. They'll say that from the pulpit all the time. You don't marry your type. You marry a spiritual woman, a woman that's ready for marriage. I've heard pastors say that. I've heard pastors say, I didn't marry the girl that I wanted. I married the girl that I needed. God didn't give me the girl that I wanted. God gave me the girl I needed. And this was after him publicly pursuing a half Lebanese and half Ghanaian, the Beyonce of the church cult. And then he married, I don't know, the Michelle of the cult. Yeah. And then after he's freshly married, he's still talking about the gal that rejected his marriage proposal. Can you imagine? It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. So reframing the collapse. So what looks like my life fell apart, I became ill, I can't function, they were right, is actually loss of artificial containment, nervous system recalibration, trauma surfacing, and an identity reboot. You know that saying, things have to get bad or worse before they get better or whatever. That's what it's like coming out, because you will fall apart. You know, they've been lying to you the whole time. And another thing is that you're also coming to the realization of how bad things were with you, whether that be unpacking the trauma and all of the stuff that comes with unpacking that trauma as well. Like, you've got to be brave to deconstruct and deprogram. You got to be a brave person, man. Because to really, and I always say with me, you never know what the hell I'm going to be saying on this. You never know what the hell I'm going to be, how I'm going to be stretching you to deconstruct and deprogram. And that's why, guys, like, there's going to be a period where there's not going to be people on board as much. And then towards the middle of the year, that's when everyone's going to be wanting to jump on it. You know, when it's like the glory's coming now. Do you know what I mean? And I ain't got time for it, man. That's why I'm so glad that we don't operate like church cults, and we're no respecter of person and look for a priest to get a better deal. Marve, you know, my memory goes, I've forgotten what I was saying. So you are not failing at life, you're detoxing from a closed system. Church cults don't teach you how to live. They teach you how to survive inside them. When you leave, it feels like collapse because the system took your nervous system, your identity, and your meaning hostage. Healing isn't decline. It's the cost of getting yourself back. Oh, let me say that again. That's lovely, isn't it? Healing isn't decline. It's the cost of getting yourself back. And I think on that note, guys, I think I'm gonna head off. I might be back on later because it is a bit early, but I'm gonna see you guys because I've just been absolutely exhausted. But you might get me back on tonight. I'm not gonna lie. You might. It's feeling like I might come back on. If you're here, I'm here. Do you get it? And if have you guys got any questions or anything like that? What I will say is I'll give you a little health update. Oh, I'm still very unwell, guys, but compared to where I was, like the crisis that I was in, where I literally like couldn't even walk. Like, guys, it's been like the pandemic for me, you know, like isolation, but I've been loving it because I love my own company. I love love, and I'm full of love. So I'm happy to be in my own presence and ambiance of my own aroma. All right, let me go, guys. So because if I go now, I'll see if later on I'm well enough to come back on. Bye, YouTube. Miss L Rose, I might see you later. Bye, guys. Bye, Marve. Bye. Bye, TikTok. I might see